Most people think appearance is only about clothes, skin, or body. But the Stoic mind knows something deeper. Your appearance is shaped silently by your habits, your thoughts, and your character. Long before wrinkles appear on the face, they appear in the mind. Today we look at 10 silent things that slowly destroy your appearance without making a sound. Constant complaining is a quiet habit that slowly reshapes a person's appearance without them noticing. Every complaint carries tension, and that tension settles into the body. The face tightens, the shoulders rise, and the breath becomes shallow. Over time, the body learns this state is normal. What begins as words becomes posture, expression, and presence. People may not know why someone looks tired or heavy, but they feel it. Complaining is often misunderstood as honesty, but it is usually resistance to reality. When the mind argues with what already exists, it creates friction inside. That inner conflict shows itself on the outside. The eyes lose clarity because the mind is always searching for something to blame. The forehead carries lines not from age, but from repeated frustration. Even the voice becomes sharper, carrying irritation rather than calm. A Stoic mind observes life instead of fighting it. When something cannot be controlled, there is no need to complain about it. Complaining does not change the event, but it always changes the person. It steals energy that could be used for action or understanding. The body feels this waste of energy and reflects it through dullness and fatigue. A calm acceptance, even in difficulty, relaxes the muscles and softens the face. People who complain often believe they are releasing stress, but the opposite happens. Each complaint reinforces the habit of seeing problems everywhere. The mind becomes trained to notice what is wrong rather than what is workable. This constant negativity creates a restless expression. The mouth pulls downward, the eyes narrow, and the body appears closed. Even in silence, the weight of complaint is visible. Complaining also affects how others respond. People are drawn to calm and repelled by constant negativity. Over time, this leads to isolation, which further deepens frustration. Loneliness then adds another layer of heaviness to the appearance. The Stoic approach is not to pretend everything is fine, but to speak only when words serve a purpose. Silence, when chosen wisely, preserves dignity and peace. The face is a mirror of the mind's habits. A mind that complains frequently is rarely at rest. Restlessness shows itself as fidgeting, tension in the jaw, and impatience in movement. These small signs combine to create an overall impression of unease. Even good features lose their power when surrounded by visible frustration. Calmness, however, enhances even the simplest face. Complaining keeps a person focused on what others should do differently. This removes responsibility from the self. Stoicism teaches focusing on one's own actions, thoughts, and reactions. When attention returns inward, the body follows. Shoulders relax because there is no need to carry the world's problems. The eyes become steady because the mind is no longer searching for faults outside. When complaining is reduced, energy returns. The breath deepens, the face relaxes, and the body moves with more ease. This change does not require effort or force. It happens naturally when resistance fades. Acceptance does not mean weakness, it means clarity. Clarity brings a quiet strength that shows in posture and expression. A person who complains less begins to look lighter. Even if life remains challenging, their presence becomes calmer, and their appearance gains a sense of balance. The Stoic understands that inner order creates outer harmony. By choosing understanding over complaint, the mind becomes steady, and the body reflects that steadiness in every silent detail. Lack of proper sleep quietly damages both the body and the mind, and its effects are always visible before they are understood. Sleep is not only rest for the body but order for the mind. When sleep is neglected, the mind loses balance, and the body begins to reflect that imbalance. The eyes become dull, the skin loses its freshness, and movement slows. Even when a person tries to hide it, exhaustion always reveals itself. The Stoic views the body as an instrument, not something to be abused for short-term comfort or distraction. When sleep is sacrificed for endless scrolling, overthinking, or chasing pleasure, the body remembers. The nervous system stays alert when it should be calm, and this constant alertness creates tension in the face and stiffness in the posture. Over time, the body forgets how to truly relax. Poor sleep weakens emotional control. Small problems feel heavy and minor inconveniences trigger strong reactions. This emotional instability shows on the face as impatience, irritation, and restlessness. The eyes lose steadiness, and the expressions become inconsistent. A well-rested person carries a natural composure, while a tired one appears scattered, no matter how well-dressed they are. Sleep deprivation also ages the appearance faster than time itself. The skin repairs itself during rest. When rest is denied, the skin looks dry, lifeless, and uneven. Dark circles form not just from lack of hours, but from chronic neglect. The Stoic seeks harmony with nature, and nature demands cycles of work and rest. Ignoring this rhythm is an act against oneself. When the body is tired, posture collapses. The shoulders droop, the neck moves forward, and the spine loses its natural strength. This posture sends signals of defeat to the mind. The mind then follows the body, creating a loop of weakness. Stoicism teaches that strength is not loud but steady. Proper rest supports that steadiness without effort. Lack of sleep also affects discipline. A tired mind seeks shortcuts. It craves sugar, comfort, and avoidance. These habits further dull the appearance and reduce vitality. The face becomes puffy, the movements slow, and the overall presence weakens. What looks like laziness is often exhaustion that has gone untreated for too long. A well-rested person does not need to force confidence. It appears naturally. Their gaze is clear, their reactions measured, and their energy calm. Sleep creates this foundation quietly. The Stoic does not glorify suffering through exhaustion. Endurance is not the same as neglect. True strength knows when to stop and restore. Ignoring sleep also disrupts clarity of thought. Decisions become rushed or delayed. Confusion replaces focus. This mental fog reflects outwardly as hesitation and uncertainty in expression. People sense this lack of clarity immediately. Calm sleep creates calm thinking, and calm thinking creates a composed appearance. When sleep is respected, the body responds with balance. Breathing becomes deeper, the muscles relax, and the face softens. There is no need for effort or correction. The Stoic life values order, and sleep is one of its foundations. Without it, even strong character struggles to show itself clearly. Uncontrolled emotions quietly reshape a person's appearance long before they notice the change. Every emotion leaves a trace on the body. Anger tightens the jaw, resentment hardens the eyes, jealousy sharpens the expression, and fear stiffens the posture. When these emotions are repeated daily without control, the body memorizes them. The face becomes a record of inner chaos rather than inner order. A Stoic understands that emotions themselves are not the enemy. The danger lies in being ruled by them. When emotions control reactions, the mind loses clarity. This lack of clarity appears outwardly as restlessness and inconsistency. The face shifts too quickly, expressions become exaggerated, and the presence feels unstable. Even silence becomes tense when emotions are unmanaged. Anger is one of the most damaging emotions to appearance. It creates heat in the body and pressure in the head. The brow furrows, the lips press tightly, and the eyes carry aggression even when no words are spoken. Over time, this expression becomes natural. What was once a reaction turns into a permanent look. Calmness, on the other hand, smooths the face and slows the breath. Jealousy and comparison quietly poison appearance as well. When the mind is constantly measuring itself against others, the eyes lose peace. There is always a sense of lack, and that lack shows. The body leans forward as if chasing something never settled. Stoicism teaches focus on one's own path. When attention returns inward, the body relaxes and the face regains balance. Fear creates its own marks. It shortens the breath and weakens posture. The shoulders rise, the neck stiffens, and the body appears smaller. A fearful mind prepares for danger that may never come. This constant preparation exhausts the nervous system. The result is a tired, guarded appearance that pushes others away without intention. Uncontrolled emotions also disrupt sleep, digestion, and overall health. These internal disturbances always show externally. Skin loses clarity, energy drops, and movements become heavy. The Stoic approach is to observe emotions rather than obey them. Observation creates distance, and distance creates control. Control restores order, and order reflects as composure. A person ruled by emotions often reacts before thinking. These quick reactions create sharp facial movements and tense body language. Over time, the body adopts this sharpness as its default state. The Stoic trains the mind to pause. That pause softens the face, steadies the gaze, and brings dignity to even the smallest action. When emotions are mastered, not suppressed, the body learns calm. The breath slows, the muscles release, and the eyes become steady. This steadiness is deeply attractive because it signals strength without aggression. Stoicism values this quiet strength. It does not demand attention, yet it is noticed immediately. Emotional control also brings consistency. The face no longer shifts wildly between stress and relief. The presence becomes predictable and safe. Others feel at ease around such a person. This ease enhances appearance more than any external change. It creates harmony between the inner state and the outer form. The Stoic understands that beauty is not loud. It comes from alignment. When emotions serve reason instead of ruling it, the body reflects that order. The face becomes calmer, the posture stronger, and the overall presence balanced. Mastery of emotion is not visible as effort, but as peace that quietly settles into every feature. Poor posture and careless body language slowly weaken a person's appearance without making any sound. The body speaks even when the mouth is silent. Slouched shoulders, a lowered head, and a collapsed spine send a message of fatigue and defeat. Over time, the body accepts this position as normal, and the mind follows it. What begins as a physical habit becomes a mental one. A Stoic understands that posture is not about pride or showing off. It is about dignity. Standing and sitting with balance shows respect for the self. When posture is neglected, the chest closes and breathing becomes shallow. Shallow breathing feeds anxiety and tension. This tension settles into the face, tightening the jaw and dulling the eyes. The entire presence feels smaller and weaker. Poor posture also disrupts natural movement. Walking becomes heavy and slow. The body wastes energy because it is not aligned. This inefficiency shows as tiredness, even when the person is not physically exhausted. The Stoic values efficiency and order. A well-aligned body conserves energy and moves with quiet strength. Body language reveals inner beliefs. A person who constantly looks down often carries self-doubt or fear. This belief shapes how others respond to them. People sense insecurity before words are spoken. Over time, repeated social feedback reinforces the habit, deepening the posture problem. Stoicism teaches control over what can be controlled. Posture is one of those things. Poor posture also affects the face. When the head tilts forward, the neck tightens and facial muscles pull downward. This creates a tired and aged appearance. The eyes appear less open, and the expression loses clarity. Even good features lose their impact when supported by weak posture. A strong frame gives structure to the face. Careless body language, such as restless movements or closed gestures, signals inner chaos. Fidgeting hands and shifting weight reveal impatience and discomfort. These movements make the presence feel unstable. A Stoic aims for stillness, not stiffness, but controlled movement. Stillness communicates confidence and calm without effort. Posture influences emotion as much as emotion influences posture. A collapsed body feeds feelings of low energy and doubt. A balanced posture supports alertness and clarity. This connection is often ignored, yet it is powerful. Stoicism recognizes the unity of mind and body. Discipline in one strengthens the other. When posture improves, the breath deepens. Deeper breathing calms the nervous system. Calmness then spreads to the face and eyes. The gaze becomes steady and expressions soften naturally. There is no need to force confidence. The body provides it through alignment. Good posture also creates presence. A person who stands well occupies space without invading it. They appear grounded and stable. This stability is attractive because it suggests inner order. Stoics valued self-command, and posture is one of its visible signs. Neglecting posture over time leads to discomfort and pain. Pain then shapes mood and expression. The face tightens, patience shortens, and energy drops. What seems like a small physical habit slowly becomes a larger personal burden. A Stoic corrects posture not for appearance alone, but for harmony. When the body is aligned, the mind follows. The shoulders relax, the head lifts, and the presence gains quiet strength. This strength does not demand attention, yet it changes how a person is seen and felt in every silent moment. Lack of self-respect quietly erodes a person's appearance, often without them realizing it. It is not only about vanity or pride, it is about how one treats themselves in small, consistent ways. When self-respect is absent, habits of neglect appear. Hygiene is overlooked, clothing is chosen carelessly, and the body is ignored. These choices may seem minor, but they silently shape how the world perceives a person and how they perceive themselves. A Stoic understands that the self is a responsibility, not a possession. Caring for the body, mind, and spirit is not arrogance, it is discipline. When a person neglects self-respect, tension appears in the posture. Shoulders droop, movements become slow, and the gaze loses confidence. These physical signals communicate a lack of inner order, regardless of external effort. The absence of care shows more clearly than any artificial adornment ever could. Neglecting self-respect often begins with small compromises. Ignoring nutrition, skipping exercise, or sleeping poorly seem insignificant in isolation. Yet these actions accumulate over time, forming patterns that the body and mind internalize. The skin loses its luster, energy diminishes, and vitality fades. Stoicism teaches moderation and mindful action, understanding that neglect undermines potential quietly but relentlessly. Self-respect also shapes the mind. When a person values themselves, they set boundaries, make decisions with intention, and maintain discipline in habits. Without it, distractions dominate. The mind becomes restless, and this restlessness manifests in the body. Movements become hurried or hesitant. Expressions shift between tension and dullness. A lack of self-respect produces a kind of visible fatigue that no amount of makeup or clothing can hide. Clothing and presentation are extensions of self-respect. Wearing worn-out or ill-fitting clothes communicates a lack of attention to oneself. It is not about wealth or fashion, it is about respect for the vessel that carries life. A Stoic practices self-care without seeking approval. Dressing and grooming oneself thoughtfully is an act of discipline and presence. It signals that one values order and takes responsibility for their own state. Neglecting hygiene is another silent destroyer. When the body is ignored, it begins to signal discomfort, which affects posture, gait, and expression. The mind responds to these signals, creating tension and irritation. Others unconsciously sense this, which can affect social interactions and overall presence. Self-respect maintains cleanliness and care, which creates a natural confidence that shines outwardly. Self-respect influences habits of speech and behavior as well. A person who neglects themselves often speaks harshly, doubts excessively, or apologizes too frequently. These verbal habits reinforce the internal message that they are unworthy, and the body mirrors this message in posture and facial expression. Stoicism emphasizes mastery over impulse and habit, teaching that cultivating respect for oneself creates harmony between thought, action, and appearance. Taking responsibility for health is part of self-respect. Eating well, exercising, resting, and avoiding harmful excesses build strength and vitality. These choices do not only affect physical form, they affect presence and energy. People notice vitality and balance, even before they notice specific features. A disciplined body reflects a disciplined mind. When self-respect is cultivated, it subtly transforms the entire presence. The eyes become clear, the posture steadier, and movements confident without force. The body communicates order, and the mind feels aligned. Stoicism teaches that external appearance is a reflection of inner discipline, and self-respect is the foundation of that discipline. The absence of care is always visible, even in silence, while consistent attention to oneself creates a quiet authority that draws respect. Naturally seeking approval from others quietly undermines a person's appearance and presence in ways that often go unnoticed. When a person constantly looks to others for validation, the mind becomes restless, and the body reflects that unrest. Every movement, every expression begins to carry tension. Smiles become forced, gestures appear exaggerated, and posture stiffens as if bracing for judgment. The desire to be accepted overtakes natural ease and authenticity, leaving a visible strain on the body. A Stoic understands that true peace comes from within, not from applause or recognition. When someone seeks approval externally, They hand over control of their energy to others. Each compliment or criticism now dictates mood, posture, and expression. The mind no longer acts freely, and the body mirrors this constraint. Shoulders tighten, eyes shift nervously, and the overall presence loses the calm steadiness that naturally attracts respect. People who seek approval often overcompensate in appearance or behavior. Clothes are chosen not for comfort or self-expression but to impress. Words are measured not for truth or purpose, but for reaction. Movements are adjusted to fit what is expected. Over time, these adjustments become habitual. The body loses its natural rhythm, and the face carries subtle signs of strain. The effort to appear acceptable to everyone consumes energy that could otherwise be invested in growth and inner balance. This habit also disrupts confidence. When self-worth depends on others, every interaction becomes a test. Anxiety rises quietly, visible in small ways: a tightened jaw, a lifted eyebrow, a hesitant step. These unconscious signals communicate insecurity. Others sense it immediately, even if no words are spoken. Presence is weakened, not by flaws but by the relentless need for external validation. Stoicism teaches that self-approval is sufficient, and freedom from dependence on others restores natural strength and poise. Seeking approval often leads to imitation. People adopt gestures, expressions, or opinions that are not their own, believing this will earn acceptance. The body learns to follow these false patterns. Movements feel unnatural, and expressions lose authenticity. A face that once carried clarity now carries subtle tension. Stoicism emphasizes alignment with reason and values, not imitation. When actions reflect inner truth, appearance becomes effortless and magnetic. This need for approval also creates inconsistency. The mind is pulled in multiple directions, pleasing one group, satisfying another, adapting to every perception. Such mental fragmentation is visible physically. The eyes flicker anxiously, the body shifts continually, and the energy lacks cohesion. Stoicism teaches focus on what is within control, the self, and detachment from what is not. Mastery of this principle restores composure and steadiness. Over time, dependence on approval diminishes natural presence. Social interactions become exhausting because they are based on performance rather than authenticity. The body carries fatigue, and the face shows strain even in silence. Energy that could support creativity, focus, and strength is wasted on attempting to be liked or approved. A disciplined mind, however, recognizes that peace and satisfaction arise from inner standards, not external reactions. Choosing self-approval over seeking others' praise gradually restores ease. Movements become natural, posture improves, and facial expressions regain softness. The gaze steadies, reflecting quiet confidence rather than anxious expectation. The body and mind align, and presence gains authority without effort. Stoicism teaches that internal validation is sufficient and outer respect follows naturally when one stands firm in one's values and actions. The subtle damage caused by seeking approval may go unnoticed for years, yet it is persistent. Even those with good features, strong bodies, or fashionable clothes can appear uneasy if their confidence is dependent on others. True strength and attractiveness are born from internal alignment. When a person stops seeking validation, the tension in the body fades and a calm, natural authority emerges, visible in every silent movement and expression. Overindulgence is a silent destroyer of both appearance and inner strength. It often begins as a small pleasure, something that seems harmless: extra food, late nights, unnecessary luxuries, or indulgence in comfort. At first, these habits feel rewarding, but over time, they accumulate into patterns that weaken the body and cloud the mind. The Stoic sees moderation as a foundation of discipline. Excess may bring temporary satisfaction, but it extracts a permanent toll on health, vitality, and presence. The body reacts to overindulgence long before the mind fully realizes it. Too much food slows digestion, dulls energy, and changes posture. The stomach carries weight that was never intended, creating tension in the back and shoulders. Skin loses its clarity, the face appears bloated, and movement becomes sluggish. Overindulgence is rarely visible as it happens, but the long-term effects are always apparent in presence and demeanor. Excess also affects energy levels. A person who overindulges often feels lethargic, unable to focus, and restless at the same time. This contradiction shows externally as inconsistency in expressions and gestures. The eyes may appear heavy, yet dart nervously. The body may slouch while the mind races. Stoicism teaches that true energy comes from balance and intentional action, not temporary pleasure. When the mind and body are aligned, presence improves naturally. Overindulgence also dulls the senses. When a person constantly seeks comfort or pleasure, the appreciation for subtle beauty or quiet moments diminishes. The body becomes accustomed to overstimulation and begins to crave more. This craving affects posture, expression, and the subtle aura of the person. Restless energy replaces calmness, and the face often shows tension, even in moments of stillness. A disciplined life allows enjoyment without dependence, keeping the body and mind responsive rather than numb. Emotional effects of overindulgence are equally visible. When a person relies on external pleasures for satisfaction, they become more reactive and less stable. Mood swings appear more frequently, impatience rises, and irritability becomes common. These emotions settle into facial expressions, gestures, and posture. A body influenced by excess always carries hints of imbalance. Stoicism values resilience and equanimity, qualities that overindulgence slowly erodes. The habit of overindulgence also weakens discipline in other areas. Someone who allows small indulgences without thought may find it harder to maintain focus on long-term goals. The mind becomes accustomed to immediate gratification, which affects decision-making and willpower. These mental habits influence physical presence. The face may appear unfocused, the posture less grounded, and the movements less precise. Order in life begins with moderation in all things, creating natural strength in appearance. Overindulgence disrupts sleep and rest as well. Staying up late for pleasure or overconsumption of food or stimulants interferes with the natural cycles of the body. Tiredness shows in the eyes. The skin loses radiance and subtle tension appears in movements. Discipline and moderation supports rhythm and balance, allowing both mind and body to function optimally. A well-rested, balanced body moves with ease and appears alert without effort. Even in subtle ways, overindulgence changes self-perception. When the mind relies on external sources for happiness or satisfaction, confidence wanes. This insecurity is visible in body language and facial expressions. Shoulders slump, gestures are hesitant, and the gaze wavers. The Stoic teaches that control over desire strengthens presence. By limiting excess and practicing moderation, the body gains poise, the face gains clarity, and movements regain precision. When indulgence is replaced with balance, the body and mind begin to recover. Energy returns, posture strengthens, and expressions become steady. The clarity of the face improves as internal order is restored. Moderation creates not only physical benefits but also a visible sense of strength and composure. Discipline in small pleasures accumulates into presence, vitality, and confidence that no excess could ever provide. The subtle destruction caused by overindulgence may not be dramatic, but it is persistent. It quietly erodes vitality, clarity, and natural authority. Balance and moderation restore not only health, but the quiet strength and attractiveness that arise when mind and body act in harmony, visible in every movement, every gesture, and every expression. Negative self-talk is one of the most silent yet destructive habits that shapes appearance and presence over time. It begins in thought, often unnoticed, with small phrases of doubt or criticism. "I am not enough, I cannot do this, or I will fail" seem harmless at first. But repeated over days, weeks, and years, they begin to form patterns in the body and mind. The face tightens, posture collapses, and the overall presence becomes heavy. Even without speaking, negative self-talk communicates tension to the world. A Stoic recognizes that the mind is a tool, not a tyrant. When thoughts become harsh judges, they distort perception and influence behavior. Every critical phrase reinforces a sense of weakness or inadequacy. The jaw clenches unconsciously, the eyes narrow, and the shoulders hunch forward. These physical signs are subtle, but they affect how others perceive the person and how the person perceives themselves. Inner dialogue directly influences outer appearance. Negative self-talk also impacts expression. Smiles may appear forced or fleeting, laughter less genuine, and interactions with others awkward or strained. The mind is preoccupied with judgment, and the body mirrors this tension. A Stoic practices rational reflection, distinguishing between what can be controlled and what cannot. By observing thoughts without blindly accepting them, a person reduces the mental burden and allows the body to release tension. Constant criticism of oneself fosters stress and anxiety. The nervous system remains alert even when there is no immediate danger. This chronic state of alertness shows in subtle ways: a tight forehead, shallow breathing, restless hands, and an uneasy stance. The body learns to live in tension because the mind repeatedly signals danger. Over time, these patterns become habitual, leaving the face and posture carrying stress long before the mind consciously notices it. Negative self-talk also influences motivation and energy. When a person believes they are incapable or undeserving, effort diminishes, movements become hesitant, decisions delayed, and presence loses vitality. The energy of the body becomes inconsistent, reflecting the inner state of doubt. Stoicism teaches focus on action rather than attachment to outcomes. Shifting attention from self-criticism to deliberate action strengthens both mind and body, improving the natural flow of energy and the clarity of appearance. Over time, the habit of negative self-talk reshapes identity. People begin to define themselves by their perceived flaws. The mind prioritizes fear of failure over curiosity or growth. This mental habit shows in posture and expression, creating a visible impression of unease or self-doubt. Stoic philosophy emphasizes mastery over perception, reminding the mind that thoughts are not facts and should not dictate the body's energy or expression. Awareness of this distinction restores steadiness. Even small moments of self-criticism add up. Each sigh, each muttered complaint, each thought of inadequacy strengthens tension in the body. The face reflects impatience, irritation, or sadness, often without the person realizing it. Negative self-talk accumulates silently but powerfully, creating patterns that affect overall presence, energy, and attractiveness. By cultivating mindfulness and observing thoughts dispassionately, a person begins to release these subtle but persistent effects. Replacing self-criticism with rational observation and self-acceptance changes both mind and body. The breath deepens, muscles relax, and the posture becomes steadier. The eyes regain clarity and focus, and expressions soften naturally. The energy of the body becomes more cohesive, reflecting confidence rather than doubt. Stoicism teaches that inner order manifests outwardly. As the mind becomes disciplined in its dialogue, the body responds with calm authority, and presence gains weight without force. Negative self-talk is invisible in its initiation but unmistakable in its consequences. It affects posture, facial expressions, energy, and overall presence in ways that are persistent and cumulative. By observing thoughts, detaching from harsh judgment, and focusing on deliberate action, a person restores harmony between mind and body. The appearance transforms quietly, steadily, and naturally as inner criticism is replaced with clarity, composure, and disciplined thought.